All right, good morning. So it's a minute after, and we'll keep this short and focused. Hi, Benno. Benno is here. I'm Tim, and welcome to a little interim on DNSOP, a very specialized one. Um, we'll start off. Suzanne's here as well. She's in the middle of some ICANN week, so we're not sure if Warren is here. Okay, so good morning, all. We got the jabber. We got the minutes. Paul's here. I was going to take minutes if Paul couldn't, but thank you if you can. Here's our note about what you say is open. Please pay attention and read this. I'm sure you all have read this. Reading the list of folks here, I believe they have. So we'll continue. Our agenda is one item. We've got today is Roy's day. We're calling it. So it's all about the error reporting. And I know people were questioning this, but it's he's got some very specific topics he wants to talk about, and he wanted to talk about it with implementers. And we thought this is a good way to get all the implementers in a room and just sort of chat about implementations and stuff like that. So he's got some slides, and we're not going to sort of get in his way, and we're going to let him run this. So so there we go. It's very straightforward, and that's basically it. So we can. I'm going to stop sharing slides. I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let Benno take over.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, Roy, you can run your own slides if you request. No.
Nope, he's sharing the slide.
So okay. Roy, you can run your own slides.
Yep. All right.
You've got the wheel, Roy. Please, have fun.
There you go.
All right.
You can switch on your video. I will switch off my video.
I believe I can do this without video. I just try to be advanced
Excellent.
here and not consume any bandwidth and not having to have a haircut. All right. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. And really thank you to the DNSOP chairs and ISG to allow me to do this. This is about the extended DNS error reporting. The draft is currently in 0.0 status. It's about to expire. I have some updates, but I need to discuss a few points with you. In order to implement the extended DNS error reporting, I think it relies heavily on extended DNS error to begin with, which is a standard, which is RC 8914. I saw a discussion recently on Mattermost in the town square, where Peter Van Dijk asked who has implemented what already from extended DNS errors, and he was quite pleasantly surprised. I am quite pleasantly surprised. So I've made a list. I did some additional research, and I asked a few implementers where they are with these things. And I've put them on this slide. So most implementations have it or are coming. Meanwhile, some large deployments also support extended DNS errors. So and that's on both the authoritative side, for instance, for GoDaddy, but also the resolver side, for instance, for Cloudflare, Quad9, and OpenDNS. I'm not sure to what extent they support extended DNS errors. But at least they have the capabilities to support it. What I mean by that is I don't know if all the errors that are listed in RC 8914 are supported. But that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to discuss the extended DNS error reporting, which is independent from RC 8914. It's basically reporting the error to a place that can potentially fix the error. All right, next slide. So I've got two main issues I would like to discuss. Peter Van Dijk of PowerDNS explained to me that when you have an interaction with a resolver that does QName minimization, it really basically reports a few times the same error for a minimized domain. To a reporting agent, which is an issue, right? I mean, because the moment you receive this error as a reporting agent, you don't know which one is actually the broken domain. You could guess, but that's a little bit too heuristic, not deterministic. So I have a suggestion to fix that is, remember we have an underscore ER label to separate the Q name, the erroneous Q name, with the agent domain, which is underscore ER. And we could actually start with it as well. So now the Q name is completely encapsulated. Basically, everything that comes in that doesn't start with an underscore ER, you can just ignore. We're open to better suggestions, not just for encapsulation. If you don't like the underscore ER, that's fine. Let's stick it to the list. Let's not use precious time here. But I'd like to fix the problem of dealing with QNAME minimization. What I do not want to do is ask the resolver implementation to switch QNAME minimization off when reporting the error. I think that's too intrusive. And I don't think that's necessary if we can just solve it this way. So that's one. The other thing is signaling extended DNS errors reporting support. So in the current version of the draft, that's version 00, the resolver must indicate support via an EDNS0 option. And if the resolver has indicated support, then the authoritative server can actually return the EDNS0 option with the reporting agent domain in its option space. Now, I thought that was the nice thing to do, right? No unsolicited information. However, it turns out that some authoritative servers will return form error servfill if they see an unknown EDNS0 option. And yes, that's a bug, and yes, that's annoying, and yes, that should be fixed if they actually support EDNS0. But the fact remains that some do. Since resolvers cannot yet discriminate between those that support and do not support, they probably need to retry without the EDNS0 option, which is cumbersome, which costs extra delays, etc., etc. So a suggestion is to allow the authoritative server to basically return reporting agent domain unsolicited. And while that seems a bit spammy, actually the extended DNS errors, RC8914, already does something like this. When there's an error, it sends this option, the EDE option, I think that's option 15, it sends it back unsolicited. Basically, it doesn't need the resolver to indicate that it supports extended DNS errors. So we kind of, the idea is to mimic that kind of thing. Because I understand that resolvers are far more resilient against unknown EDNS0 options. So I like to go ahead and do this. The idea being that an authoritative server can always send this option without relying on a resolver indicating support for that. So that's the two main things I wanted to discuss. Then I have one more slide. Basically, not all errors in RC8914 are equal. Some errors are returned by authoritative servers, and I don't think it's needed to actually report this back to the authoritative servers if a resolver receives one of these errors. So for instance, you have 14 not ready, 15 blocked, 20 not authoritative, 21 not supported. Those are, I think, implemented by some authoritative servers already. So well, I leave it to the working group without me deciding what to do, what to put in the draft. Should the resolver report these back to the reporting agent if a reporting agent string is present in the response? So those are typical error codes basically that the authoritative server can report back. Then you have some errors in the RC8914 that can only be concluded after complete resolving session. So basically what you would normally send back to the client, right? And that's just basically there's no reachable authority. So if there's no reachable authority, that actually implies that no authority could be reached. are we going to send it back, and are we going to send it back to whom? So that's one of these oddities where EDE, extended DNS errors, and extended DNS error reporting are not aligned. Then you have, for instance, when you have multiple errors, let's say you have a single zone that's stale, where all the signatures are expired. Does the resolver need to send a report to each individual authoritative, to each reporting agent? There's some room for optimization here. We can put that in the draft. And then there are some errors that reveal resolver policies, such as 16 censored, 17 filtered, 18 prohibited. The reason I mention this, it's already in extended DNS errors that it reveals resolver policy when you basically report that elsewhere. Should they be reported back to a reporting agent? Yes or no? That's a question to the group. And that's actually, my last slide. So these three things I would like to discuss. I don't know how to. Sorry. I'm going to address the first two already in version 1. So there will be text in version 1, which will be out today or tomorrow, which contains the question that I posted here. Now, in version 2, which I shall submit in a couple of weeks' time, we will have the results of the discussion from this DNSOP working group session. And the reason that I don't do that in 01 already is that the draft is about to expire, and I don't want to let it leap. All right, that's it. Back to Benno.
Hi, thank you, Roy. Well, first, Paul is in the queue, and then we can go over the different issues you brought up in your presentation. But first, I'd like to give the floor to people who have questions immediately after your presentation. Paul, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Paul Hoffman. So this is not a question on any of the technical stuff, but Roy, the draft submission deadline was yesterday. So you won't be able to do a 01 or a 02 until the meeting week. I'm not sure how you want to deal with that, and that might cause you to want to combine them or such, but you're not able to turn in anything now.
Well,
all right.
We can get Warren to sort of approve it, or something of that nature, I believe. So, but he can send something to the list also.
All right. Thanks for that, Paul, and thanks for that, Tim. I will make sure that whatever I send to the list is also sent to Warren, or to Warren, so that people are aware. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions after the presentation? Otherwise, I suggest we go to the three issues you want to discuss, and ask maybe the implementers about status, what they think. Yeah. So, Rolf, please go ahead.
Okay, so can you go to the other slide, because yeah, this one. So on which errors to report back? I mean, everything that goes wrong, can go wrong, will go wrong. And I can totally see an authoritative server kind of not real, and management of an authoritative server not realizing some of their servers sending bad data. So I think if there is anything, it has to be sent back, even if it comes from the authoritative server. And I mean, that was on that issue.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And on the okay, go ahead.
No, sorry. What I agree. If anything that an authoritative server reports back to the resolver should report back to the agent domain.
And on the last one, I mean, it is really part of the resolver policy. If he wants to report back that your domain is blocked because I'm filtering it, I don't think that the RFC should kind of have a kind of say there.
All right, that's a good point. Shall I just mimic what RFC 8914 says over these few errors? Because you need to say something in the security section, which is basically that some of these errors might reveal something.
I have to reread that. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you. Peter, please.
Hi. I'm thinking along the lines of Ralph's, because basically the option is not cached in any way. So the authoritative server can decide for every single response whether whatever the authoritative server is sending back to the resolver should be potentially reported to the reporting agent or not. So I think that basically what Ralph said, there is no reason for the RFC to prescribe whatever list of options which should be ignored, because the implementation of the authoritative server can decide specifically for their case. There is no need to prescribe it in the RFC because everyone can do their own decision. And if someone wants to get reports about zones they are not authoritative for, there is, I think, no reason to prevent the authoritative server from sending back the option with the reporting domain. So I think that we can have a text which actually makes it explicit that the authoritative server is allowed to send or not send the option on per answer basis, and then all the rest follows from that, I think.
Okay. So basically, that means I can avoid discussing individual errors completely, and but there is a small thing. There's a fundamental difference between a resolver not being able to resolve something because it's our response, or a resolver not able to send something back because the entire resolver session is over. Sorry for the lack of the right terminology, but basically a resolver determines at one point there's an error. At that point, it needs to send something back. So there's a small disjoint that an error happens because of an authoritative server that sent something back, or an error that's happened because all options are depleted, if that makes any sense. So do I specify something around that in this document, or is it basically, if you notice an error with the authoritative server, something that you would normally log about, or something that you would normally form an EDE about, report it back to the reporting agent?
Yeah, I can see your point. The problem basically is that if the error is caused by the single message from a single authoritative server, it's all clear because the server can decide on the per message basis whether it should be reported or not. But if we have to retry the query multiple times to multiple authoritative servers, then the problem is basically what reporting agent value we take, because potentially every single authoritative server and every single message can have different value. And then we have to pick 1 out of n, or 0, from 0 to 1. So I think that in any case, we need a general text, not necessarily specific about like policy decisions, whether it's blocked or anything. But we probably need a paragraph or two discussing how do you pick the reporting domain when you have like n options, and how do you pick one when the resolution fails. Yeah, so sorry, I don't have the answer, but I think that we need to consider it, and it should be mentioned in the text somehow.
All right. Thanks, Peter. I've noted it.
Paul, please go ahead.
Thank you. So I think that's an interesting discussion that needs actually more in the text, including possibly a new error. That is, I think it would be valuable to whoever's looking through this log on the authoritative side to know that the client actually tried all of the authoritative servers before generating an error. That to me would be a valuable thing to know. And that's not something I believe that we have in EDE. So I think this will take more discussion, but a fact like that, I think will be super useful to somebody who just goes like, oh yeah, like if I'm looking in the log, I might say, oh yeah, I know I had a problem then, and ignore it. I would be less likely to ignore it if I saw that the resolver said, but I tried all of your authoritative servers. So just a thought.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Hello, mostly responding to Peter here. So a resolving session might generate 10 or 20 errors, plus a 21st error that is none of the outs were reachable. And you may not want to send 20 error reports. You also may sometimes even not want to send the one report you have because you're already busy enough. So perhaps some sampling is in order, where error 22, no reachable authority, would have some preference over the others. And then if a domain is popular enough and all of the outs are broken in various ways, then over multiple queries to resolvers, those various errors will still end up at the agent, even though a resolver might be randomizing and dropping a few.
Peter, do you want to respond to that, or shall I try to give a response to that?
I think it certainly makes sense to have some sampling and also the amount of messages we send out. But I think that it's mostly implementation specific. It very much depends on particular conditions on the resolver. So I wouldn't be like prescribing everything in the draft. I lean more to like text which says, well, don't forget to consider this, and this, and make decisions appropriate for your use case and implementation, than like prescribing how the sampling should work and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do agree, which should never be too prescriptive.
So Peter and Peter, can I? I'll send you some text, and it's because you both of you actually implement this stuff, and I don't. So if and Benno, you as well. So if I can send you text and see if you like it, and if not, just mess it up and hammer it down and burn it. Then I'll put whatever we agree on in the document for the rest of the group to discuss. Is that all right?
Yeah, me.
Perfect. I still have the other two. I'm not sure if we're done with this with the extended error reporting itself. Sorry, with the individual errors itself. But I would like to have some feedback about the avoiding messing with QNAME minimization and just dump a label in front of it that says _ER or whatever that needs. And the other one is to have unsolicited agent domains in authoritative servers. And if there's silence all the way, which I completely understand, I'm going to go with the suggestions that are currently on the screen, so that the wider working group has a chance to discuss that on the list. If that's okay with, if no one has any comments.
Yeah. So I see that Peter suggested it as an implementer. I don't know about other implementers. Have thought about it.
All right.
Not okay. So maybe later on the mailing list. So I understand that kind of related. So there are already some proof of concept implementations of extended error reporting. Is that correct?
Well, I understand from another labs and I know you happen to work there. Yeah, I know you happen to work there, but I don't want to point it out. From Willem Torop, in a hackathon, he actually implemented the authoritative side in an NSD implementation as a proof of concept. So it's not part of any release, but there's a proof of concept, and at the time he had that running, so you can actually send it. You actually can query it, and you get back an agent domain where you can consequently report stuff. I don't have. There is no proof of concept on the resolver side.
Okay, yeah. So that was indeed why. Okay, thanks.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was indeed also. So I talked with Willem indeed. So I understand there is an implementation in NSD. It's still running. Willem is telling on the chat. But I'm also very curious about indeed the resolver part. But there also you're dependent on the EDE implementations. I see on your first slide that there are PowerDNS recursor is there already, and Unbound is in the feature tree. So the thing is, when implementers will start implementing parts of your draft for clarity and all these decisions, is that already clear to them? That's kind of the question here to the room.
Well, there's something additional I want to point out. The what I would love to do is have a session at maybe not this hackathon, because that's too close basically, and the implementations are too fresh. But maybe the next hackathon and the next IETF to basically already start working with resolver implementations and authoritative servers to have a test session or a hackathon session around this. And I understand from the list, and so this is nothing new, that Quad 9 Woody basically already Bill Woodcock has said we are going to support this when this is a standard, etc. So it would be good to those who support this to help me out get a session during a hackathon.
Excellent, thanks. Willem, please.
Yes, I'm wondering about the returning the reporting agent unsolicited. So, was your intention to do that on every response? Or should the authoritative keep state and remember to which resolvers it returned the reporting agent name?
That's a very good question. The idea was every response, if space allows, right?
Okay.
I think.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So you say on your slide that resolvers are more resilient against unknown EDNS 0 options, but maybe you could measure that. Perhaps that would be a good hackathon project for the upcoming hackathon.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, we can.
Do a right measurement or something to send queries to authoritative that returns EDNS option unsolicited.
Yeah.
So it's not a question, but a suggestion.
No, that's a very good suggestion. And I'm sure there's also the Google ad guys that could do this as well.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to Matt Larson. He's the co-author of this, and see and happens also to be the head of research at ICANN. So I'll talk to him. Maybe we can get both Ripe and Joao involved in this. I know that Joao was on the list. Yes, Joao is participating in the room. So I'll reach out to Joao separately if they're interested in helping me measure this. Thanks for the suggestion. That's really good.
Welcome. That's it.
Okay. Peter, please go ahead.
I will react to what Willem said because he triggered an alarm in my head. And the keyword was state, because I think that we should try to keep this draft as stateless as possible. Because as soon as we introduce some sort of caching on any level, I have very bad feeling that we will open a can of worms and introduce some security vulnerabilities, because right now it's kind of easy to reason about the possible ways to misuse the option, because there is no state, so you can see what happens for that particular query. But as soon as we start tracking keeping state, it will be much harder, because then one forged answer with the agent option might, change the state of the system for a longer period of time. So I think that we should try to avoid state in the protocol as much as possible, because it's a nightmare to reason about. And I think it's not needed for the protocol itself. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work this way.
I agree. To be fair to Willem, he wasn't suggesting it. What he was saying, if you don't do this on all responses, then you need to keep some kind of state. And I think we all agree that it's better to do this in all responses, or not do this, or not do this at all, instead of keeping state.
Okay, thanks. Just relaying the Jabber room. So Joao is happy to help you. Okay.
Fantastic, Joao. Thanks. I'll talk to you after the session. I'll send you a mail after the session.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, please go ahead.
So there is a third option, which is that the authoritative server sends out the the unsolicited announcement randomly. That is just as a way of seeding it. I don't think that's a good idea at all, because I think that it is safe to assume if a resolver isn't going to be able to do anything with that information, that they will have put it in the EDNet0 request. But it would, I mean, as part of the eventual implementation, there should be no prohibition on a authoritative server to choose when it does unsolicited announcements. It can do them whenever it feels like. It doesn't have to do them on all announcements. I think a very interesting experiment would be 2 years into this, start doing it randomly and see if you get more responses. That is, if there are resolvers out there that are somehow behind a broken middle box that is preventing their outgoing request coming, but they can see the incoming going, okay, great, I can give answers now. So again, just let's leave it optional and not say it must be all or none.
Yes, good point. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, let's see, where are we? Yeah, so any other things you want to discuss, Roy, that hasn't been covered yet?
No, there isn't. If anyone knows of any implementation that I haven't yet listed on the first slide, I would love to know about this, because then I can keep track. If I have implementation that support EDE, I can actually ask them, maybe they can support the EDE-R as well. I'm really sorry about the bad terminology here. I think it's going to be called extended DNS error reporting. So either or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not at all into the silly IETF acronym game. So if anyone has better creativity than I have, please go for it. I have not yet heard any pushback on starting with the _ER label. If there's no pushback, I'm just going to go ahead with it, and then the wider group can discuss it.
Yeah.
And this is the third time I'm mentioning it, so this will also be the last time.
Yeah, you had opportunity. Oh, there you are.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Yeah, you get what you're asking for now.
Yeah.
Vladimir, please go ahead.
Hello. There's no pushback, but I do wonder, we have to think about _ER labels that may exist in the domain name itself. It is not a prohibited label, so you can have a broken test domain, which is broken _ER, broken _ER test, whatever.
That is correct, but I understand there's a registry of underscore labels. Maybe we can make use of that registry. I'm not sure if we then be abusing it, but you could have a look there.
That wouldn't prevent me to create _ER labels in my name, but
no. But to be fair, I mean, whatever we choose, there might be an issue with that. I mean, I know about xn -- and all the other hacks that exist.
Yeah.
It needs to be something. So I'm happy to discuss this on the list. But what I'm trying to get feedback on is the idea of encapsulation, right? Starting and ending the Q name with a label, in order to avoid the problem introduced by Q name minimization.
Yeah, I think you can do that, but I'm just pointing out that whenever you encounter the second _ER, going from top to bottom, you can't be sure yet that you have the full Q name, and probably there should be some text about that.
Yeah, good point. I'll put that in.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was going to just point out to Roy. Yes, there is a registry. Stefan just put the link in the chat, and we could define something, and it's mostly the starting labels, right? So while somebody could have something .foo._ER, it won't start with that. So we could use that. That would still just sort of slide through without a problem, I believe. But yes, so. You should consider that. That's actually, I was thinking about that, and then that's a very good idea to sort of lock that name down, right?
Yeah.
The application people are all over this registry. Right?
Yeah.
So that was it. Thank you, Roy.
All right, thanks, and thanks, Stefan, for putting it on the Jabber. Putting it on the chat. I understand Vladimir had his hand up, but it's now down. And when you announced Vladimir, we got Matthijs. So,
indeed.
I'm not sure if, okay.
If I was still in the queue, that was an accident.
No, both you and Vladimir were in the queue, so maybe Vladimir also wants to say something or propose something. Yeah. Vladimir, please go ahead. Yeah. Might have technical problems here. You can grab the microphone if you like. Okay.
Or maybe put it in the chat.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he has a technical problem. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. Sorry, Vladimir. Tim, you still have raised. Do you want to mention something? You have raised your hand. Forgot to put it down.
Right.
Okay. Good. Okay. I'm reading out Vladimir's comments on Jabber. He said, anyway, the null Q type might differentiate it enough as an argument. But he also will post it to the list. And it's minor. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. If there are no other questions or points for discussion, I want to wrap up. Actually, I like this a lot. It was focused, made some progress, starting some discussion. Well, I think there are some ideas for the hackathon. And also, well, if implementations become available with EDE, we can also work with implementing extended error reporting. That's good to hear. Yeah, please continue the discussion on the mailing list so we can make progress. The draft was accepted with great enthusiasm by the working group. So I also expect that we continue to work with great enthusiasm. I think there are no other things to discuss right now. Kind of start plugging the IETF 112. We're still, well, we have 2 slots, 2 hour and 1 hour. We're open for agenda requests. So after submitting your updated draft, ask for agenda slot, or otherwise Tim, Suzanne, or I will ask you to fill an agenda slot. Tim, Suzanne, some other things to share? We will, yeah.
No, I was going to say, yes, we will actually come find authors and
yeah,
tell them to do stuff. So
exactly, yeah.
So be ahead of us.
Yeah. I think we made good progress in the past months with the interims and making progress on the drafts, and we want to continue this. Well, we want to keep the how do you call that in English? Keep things on speed, that we make progress and finish. Especially Tim is really the bully here. He really wants to have people finish the drafts and push it towards the ROC. Sorry?
Tim is not a bully, but we would like to keep the momentum going, and we have found these interims to be, from our point of view, really useful, but we also don't want to overload people or have too many meetings. So if you have thoughts on what's the right kind of cadence for these things, we like being able to focus on 1 or 2 drafts for just an hour rather than the sort of the schedule we have to maintain during a regular IETF meeting. So if you have thoughts on how to keep that, how to make that effective, how to make that more effective, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we like this idea of especially getting implementers in a room and just letting them kind of talk things out for an hour. That this was a great idea. So we're glad Roy had some plans on this. So thank you, Roy, sir, for and organizing the implementers as well. I know they're a rough bunch.
Thanks. To thank the implementers, not me. They did all the work. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you all, and see you in. Warren, please.
Please speak, Warren.
Yeah.
I hope the audio is working. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for we're making really good progress now. I think these interims have worked really well, but it'd be great if we can keep up this sort of like getting all the documents done, moved out of the way. Keep up the progress and stuff. And that's it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Because we have people who want more documents to be brought forward. So we're trying to juggle all that. And Warren's been helping us with that. So thanks, Warren.
Yeah. Indeed. So people don't stop thinking about problems and proposing new ideas. So yeah, we have to keep this train going and finish existing work and accepting new work. Thank you. And Warren, sorry, of course, I don't mean Tim is a bully. He's the nicest person I know. So Warren volunteered to be the bully. So thank you, Warren. Thank you all. See you in 2 weeks. And send feedback on the mailing list on this session. Contact the chairs if you want to have agenda time, a time slot for presenting your draft. And see you. Thank you for your time and thank you for all your input. Bye bye.